and get this train chugging along so that we can get into our choose your own adventure time. Welcome back, everyone. And welcome if you're tuning into the stream for the first time. This is going to be part 2 of the Dissolve and Bloom 4th edition with the 4th cohort of the Design Science Studio, an educational and cultural incubator and community of practice, uplifting the capacity of the creative community to direct our devotional energy towards building a more just and equitable and regenerative future for all of life starting now. So we are deep in it, and we are honored to be here on the Vision Train. And we are entering our choose your own adventure time in this segment of Dissolve and Bloom. So we have some options. I'm going to put some links in the chat, and I'm also going to screen share in case that's easier for anybody so that we can take a look at these together. So there are a few things, and I'm actually going to screen share both links. Put this back on full view for you. So in case you are tuning in on the stream, you are going to experience everything in the Vision Train. And for everyone who's here, you have an option of what you want to do. So here we are, break 1 into choose your own adventure. Yes, we're on time. I love this. And so here you could either go into the room with Mark and Michelle, who just shared a bit about this whole installation, art studio, and also garden market, and this short film documentary mini thing that piece rather that Mark has made over the last week to tell that story. So that's really special, and that's happening. Also, concurrently, you could stay in here, and Ana Maria Monten, who's an amazing filmmaker, or does work with film and bodies and glaciers, and is just really, really remarkable, from Austria, who is doing work also around vanishing landscapes. She's going to lead a playful workshop around creating your expressive, weird, fabulous super character. So that's happening in here. And then also, Malcolm Knapp is going to be guiding folks in dissolving the polycrisis. I want to be everywhere at the same time. So this session is about climate, jobs, extinction, and how the polycrisis, though it can feel paralyzing, how do we stay grounded and take meaningful action to find a path forward? So all of these have a little button that say join event, so you can do it from there. And just as a preview, after those, Nico Lejota is going to be in one of the rooms that's going to be sharing for some work around from invisible to visible and what surrounds us in this beautiful world and bridging that through art. We're also going to have Della Buford sharing about her work and life as a mandala. She's been a part of Design Science Studio for a long time, and she's just such a talented artist. And then Kaylin J is going to be sharing about the next stages of progress in this regenerative land and microvillage project called the Sanctuary Commons. And that's his project for Design Science Studio this year, and it's really making some strides over these last weeks. So another way to view that same information is the other link that I sent. And so here we are in the Vision Train for these two. Also, Patricia is going to be having her regenerative coherence lab. I didn't mean to miss that, which you can also see here, beep, Patricia. And I'm going to just pause for a moment so everybody has time to make a decision about where you want to go. I will also just post the 3 links into the chat directly if you want to switch rooms. And then in just a minute or two, we'll introduce this session. But it's important that we pause so you can choose, because you actually have to leave to go to a different Zoom room to choose your own adventure in this time. So I'm just going to pause this for a moment. I'll put those links in the chat again so you have some time to move around and get into the room you want to be in. Okay, I've just put those 2 links into the chat now for the other 2 rooms where we have Dissolving the Polycrisis with Malcolm Knapp and the film with Michelle and Mark. So both of those links are directly in the Zoom as well as through the other 2 links. So I'm going to pause for another moment for people to reorganize themselves. Maybe I will bring John up here with me to intro. Ana Maria. John, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, great. I wasn't sure if
Yes, I'm here.
I think I know it's so confusing. I think John Ackerman, you're the one that's introducing Ana Maria, right?
Yeah, I'm trying to get to Anna Maria's room.
Oh, you're in this room, my dear.
Yes. I'm trying to get there. I don't know how.
You're here. Here you are.
Oh, this is the room.
This is the room. You
Oh,
have
holy moly.
arrived. Dun, dun, dun,
I didn't even
dun.
know.
That's
So,
amazing. Yes, you are here. You have arrived.
all right.
You are exactly in the right place. That's so sweet. And I'm going to bring Ana Maria up too. Hi, Ana Maria. I'm excited for
Hi.
this.
Hey, hey.
John's going to be your introduction MC, Master of Ceremonies here. And I'm going to leave it to you too. Thank you so much for guiding the session. Over to you, John.
Right, thank you, Roxy. Really looking forward to this. Just want to say first, I loved the video that you did, Anna Maria. It was so
Thanks.
beautiful. The dancing, the glaciers, the nature, the human nature in the mother nature. It was just, yeah, magnificent.
Thanks.
Yeah. Sorry to disrupt you with my I prefer silence instead. It's okay. I'm just trying to pull up the document with your introduction. It's my
Uh,
computer's a little bit slow. Um, I mean, I can just say Anna Maria is a filmmaker, a dancer, a mover, a change maker, part of the Design Science Studio this year. I believe that's right. You're part of the cohort this year.
yes, first time.
Awesome. Yeah, same here. Um, I'm loving it so far. I hope you are too. I love your background also, by the way. That's some pretty awesome art.
The tree is massive tree trunk to ground.
Amazing. I love it. Yeah, I wish we had more old trees in the world. I'm trying to work on that one project. Um, but yeah, I'll pass it over to you and excited to see where this goes.
All right. Thank you, John. Thank you very much. Um, okay, I'm very happy to see your faces. I switched to gallery mode to be able to see. Can you still hear me in the gallery mode? Yes,
Yes.
I'm audible. Great. Oh, it's been amazing so far. I'm going to time myself not to go over, but you can just also pinch me if I'm starting to go over. So this is a fun little experimental workshop. I have found it useful. It's partially part of what I'm working on into guiding people through movement and through different tasks into somehow unlocking their hidden corners, hidden drawers, which are within us. And I love journaling. I love to draw, and you don't need to know how to draw. Everybody can hold a pen and move their hands. So this is part of like creative therapies. I've learned it from different teachers, and I've combined them together into some journaling prompts. And we will be writing and in the end drawing a little bit to find our super character or superhero. So it's a little bit of child's game as well, but it's always lovely to have a bit of this adventurous, youthful child's mind to open those creative gates. So for this, I would ask you to have 2 papers. Ideally, you can have also 1 paper, but 2 just gives you a little bit of space to write so that you don't have to write small, but you can also write big letters. And a pen, obviously. If you have color pens, that's also great. A paper or 2 papers, a letter size. And for starters, everybody has paper? Yes? So first, it's going to be a very easy question. The idea is not to overthink too much, simply start to write. And this one is just to warm up. So you'll be just answering 1 question. A little interview with yourself is write down 3 things that I am naturally really good at. Write down 3 things I am good at that come naturally for me. Doesn't have to be too long. Just 30 seconds to write it. Can be something that you do every day, like I'm really good at enjoying nature, but it also can be something related to your work that you're doing now, or something that you're offering to the world. Okay, so let's finish up the sentence for the third. You have wrote down 3 things you're good at. And now we'll do a more interesting part of it. Write down a question. What am I? Just a question for now. What am I? And take your pen to the opposite hand. So you will be writing with non-dominant hand. If you're right-handed, you'll be writing with your left hand. If you're left-handed, you'll be writing with your right hand. So I will give you around 3 minutes to start writing down words. And ideally, it's going to be 10 at least. You can go to 100 if you can write. Don't worry about how the writing looks like. It can be messy. The idea is to keep your pen moving. Even kind of start to write the first letter and see what comes. Answer to the question, what am I? And avoid answering your name, your gender, and your job. So don't answer the obvious things. Start writing down, what am I? With your non-dominant hand. About 3 minutes for this task. So let's break down a bit of that analytical mind. And right before your intellect can disrupt you or interrupt you. It can be ridiculous. It can sound weird even. Doesn't have to make sense. It can look messy. Don't worry about how it looks like. It doesn't have to look neat. maybe it might sound something like, I am a storm. I'm a bridge builder. I'm a quiet sound. I'm an observer. Often this impulse that wants to come and it doesn't make sense is the right one. And if you keep writing, it can start to look even more ridiculous. Or not, however, what you are tuned to at the moment. Okay, so a few more seconds to write that. You can add a few more words that come out of your intuitive self. Okay, and stop. From those words that you just wrote down, circle 3 that seem surprising to you. Raw, honest, blunt, or stand out. Something that you find really interesting. Circle 3 words. If you'd like to, you can also share it in the chat. Something that stood out. I see John making a face palm. That's a good thing. So it helps to kind of tap into this blunt truth about you, this raw, like children's mouth. Something comes out, it's still you. It's those hidden drawers you get access to. You're interviewing yourself. Now, so this workshop is actually really long. It has to be at least 1 hour, and I'm squeezing it to a teaser version. So we're gonna flow through it super fast. There's gonna be more exercises, but I'm gonna like jump right ahead. And now write down with your dominant hand, what is my superpower? What is my superpower? And within 1 minute, answer to that question with the non-dominant hand. Those 3 words are kind of the keys to write a few sentences. What is my superpower? What is something that I am actually really good at and is really special and unique to me? That is hidden. If I would be in a magical world where I can ignite my powers, what could it look like? What could it sound like? So you're answering with a non-dominant hand. It's kind of an automatic writing as well. So your pen is ideally kind of just moving without overthinking it. Okay. I see some people still writing. There's a lot to write. That's a good thing. but let's wrap it up for this time, this answer. So, and now we get to name our superhero. Write down with really big letters your superhero name with your non-dominant hand and start writing the first letter and see where that takes you. Don't overthink it. Again, I'm jumping right ahead, trying to do this in a really short time. If it's weird, quirky, ridiculous, all the better. All right, so if you would like to, you could share your superhero name in the chat. If you're brave enough, or a version of it, maybe you have many names. Maybe you're a versatile superhero who switches names. Zenga, Selenium, Victoire, Funtrav. Wow. I love those. Lightsaber. Hmm. Sunflower, vessel of love. That's so sweet. Beautiful. Yes, I love those. Okay, so we're moving on to now the other paper where you draw a self-portrait. When was the last time you drew yourself? Draw your self-portrait as you visualize yourself as this super avatar or a super character. If you feel brave enough, you can also start drawing with your non-dominant hand. Drawing maybe the face first, the eyes, and see how that looks like. Or you can also write with your right hand or draw with your right hand. A self-portrait looking like that superhero that you just started to embody, that is started to come through with your intuitive writing, automatic writing. And when you're drawing, you can also start drawing around the avatars or decorate it with some tools or artifacts that this inner super avatar might use or might need. It might not look like anything you've ever seen before, some kind of a made up artifact that reminds you of something from the childhood, maybe. Or it's something simple like a book that you really love, a book that inspires that super avatar. Cube, key, a puzzle piece. Nice. I used to also draw a sort of a lightsaber that wasn't really a lightsaber, but it was kind of blooming, some kind of, it sparked lights. And I just imagined how I'm swinging it around. But it could also be something very simple like a plant. If your superpower or your super avatar is someone who likes to bring peace and calmness to people, then your tools or the decorations might look different. And if you play this game in different times, your avatar changes. Those are the different drawers we might have inside. Sometimes you feel more playful. Sometimes you want to go and ignite the fire and create more. Sometimes you are more the quiet peacemaker, the calm wind, the calm element in everybody's lives. But it's a fun way to unlock. We're meaning-making machines. We're made of symbols, we're made of archetypes, we're made of words, we're made of all kinds of experiences. And if we sometimes block them out with our analytical thinking, that inner child is sometimes a bit discouraged. But I think in this group, we're all very creative and open. So we're super, I feel like it's very easy to play these games with you. I've played this with children and adults alike. Okay, so ideally you've kind of drawn something on your paper that looks like your super avatar or super character. So the last thing, and this goes into the embodiment. If we would do a really long workshop, we would actually start to visualize, how would I sound? How would I look like? How would I move or walk if I would embody my super character physicality? So what I'd like us to do, as you know, those super characters, like Spider-Man has a movement that he does to ignite his superpower. He's doing this kind of movement, and a Superman has this kind of iconic embodiment. Maybe figure out or come up with a gesture or a movement to ignite your superpower. It might even look something like this, that you calm yourself and center yourself, or you spin, or you do something with your hands, or you do a little bit of this. What gets you into that character you just created for yourself? How about we try to do that together? So let's get up and we do one movement that feels aligned with your character. All right, are we ready? And let's do your movement. How do you awaken this super character inside you? Nice. Yeah. I often do this kind of like, I connect my navel and heart space with my thumb and index fingers, and I touch these spots in my body, on my body. All right. Okay. Beautiful. Um, I'm wondering if anybody would like to kind of show your self-portrait of your drawing to the screen, how it looks like. I can show what I drew the other day. I've done this before. I named myself Razayana. And the attributes I also have are lotus flower, mountains, glaciers, There's a little dragon there.
If anyone wants to share, you can raise your hand or let us know in the chat and we can spotlight you.
John.
Yeah, so I like to do this kind of whirling thing where I just do a single line. There's all these different layers that can emerge.
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. Wow, it looks like a mandala. That's amazing.
Yeah. And I just trust my body to do whatever
Yeah,
my feeling is telling me to do and cut out the brain thing because the brain can be so
yes.
critical and it can ruin art.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah. It looks like an energy bubble, some kind of a swirling energy bubble.
yeah, exactly.
Yes, I love that. I love that. I love that when, yeah, when you're doing it with your non-dominant hand, something else comes up actually. Yes, thank you.
That's so fun. Thanks.
That's great. I think we're pretty much on time. There's like a minute left. So if anybody wants to share what came up for their character. Otherwise, this is quite a long workshop and it would involve much more writing, much more playing, much more embodiment and physicality and movement. So it's a teaser of what it looks like. And actually, a homework would be for you to answer or decorate your super character even more and answer to the question, what would change for me if I would embody the super character more often? So that's a little homework that you can answer to that question. If I would embody that super character more, what would change?
Anna, I sent you a message privately in the chat.
Uh-huh. Oh, okay, I saw. Yes. Yes, I can. Great. So we're in time. And thank you, everybody, for participating in this creative workshop. It's a little segment and part of what I'm experimenting with. So this is really experimental. I'm still working on this. And thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, thank you, Anna Marie. Wait, sorry, is it Anna Marie?
Anna Maria. Anna Maria.
Maria.
Yeah.
Sorry. I like to get the names right, but I forget sometimes. Wow, that was amazing. Thank you for that. I love the whole practice. The specific questions really help to focus the scene, and then the story can just kind of unfold from there. And it's really powerful. I really appreciate that. Yeah, I think that's pretty much what I got to say. I don't have any questions or anything, but just really fun practice. It's very similar to the kind of things that I like to do and want to facilitate more of. So yeah, I just really appreciated it. And I wonder like what is your experience like have you done this before and what is your experience of like of embodying
Mm-hmm.
your own super character?
Mm. So the exercise where you are answering, what am I actually would recommend to try this, answering it 100 times. Because the deeper you go, you get into some very strange answers that are coming from your non-dominant hand, from intuitive and more emotional self. And there are keys and clues to what you'd like to be. And the embodiment is actually, if you are starting to embody that, it seems to be more opening and joyful. And it simply brings out sort of this raw beingness and it helps to create better. It helps to create more. And you can do an interview with yourself, asking any type of question. What could I do better in that project? And try to answer with your non-dominant hand and see what comes, because it often sounds honest. The non-dominant hand sounds honest, sounds raw, blunt, and ridiculous, but there are some interesting truths and keys that I found helpful in my creative projects and kind of encouraging as well, because it's a child's, I tap into my child's mind with non-dominant hand. So it's a work in progress.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's you named a few really important things of the play aspect of it. It has to be fun, or else we won't do it. And of like just having the willingness to go deeper and deeper and unfold more and more, because it can be scary if we're not like really sure about our relationship with things. It can be
Yes.
kind of like,
So
yeah,
we jump right into it, right into drawing. But if there's an embodiment before that, there's a lot of shaking. There's quite a lot of physicality involved before it. And then you start writing. There is something with the motor of using a hand that doesn't really write the way you're breaking the script. You're breaking your mental chatter. And people tend to be afraid of that, or they want to be correct. But not being correct is sometimes really interesting, because we're full of clues, we're full of those hidden drawers, and it's still all me, right? It's still all you. And especially if you're a creative person, I find it very useful.
yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'm not sure what the next thing to come up is.
I am sure. I'm excited to be able to introduce Patricia. Patricia, can you come up here and help me with your last name? I want to make sure that I get it right.
Sogayar.
Sogayar.
Thank you, Rex.
Patricia is doing amazing work, and she has a broad, beautiful heart that I've been really enjoying getting to witness develop in our short time together in Design Science Studio. So I'll just give you a little brief introduction. Patricia Sogayar is a regenerative change catalyst, integrating presence-based facilitation, deep ecology, systems thinking, and healing to support regenerative cultures and community well-being. Without further ado, I give you back the floor. Thank you, Patricia.
Thank you so much, Rex, and everyone that is here with me today. Can you hear me well?
Yeah.
Is it
Yes.
all good? Thank you so much. It will be lovely. And Maria, so glad that you brought those super characters for us here, because now we can go and put them in practice, huh? This is what I want to share with you today and invite you in. So let me bring the presentation here and start my time as well, so we don't get too long. So this theme, the Regenerative Coherence Lab, from inner alignment to collective impact, is something that it's very keen to my heart, and I guess it brings together everything I've been learning so far in my whole life. So I'm really glad we are here sharing with you. And before we go into that, I want to bring a little bit what is the problem. And I guess we've said that already in that slide, AHA slides. We see war, polarization, climate urgency, mental health. I don't know if you know that part, because I got really surprised that, for instance, now cancer is not the number one disease illness anymore. Globally speaking, it's mental health. So it's really showing how sick our society is. And we all know that part. And we also already shared what the root is. in my sense, this fragmentation. So if we don't go there, we will keep being fragmented people doing fragmented projects and getting not the impact we want and we need, right? So it's not about not having innovations, not having resources. We have that a lot, but it's not aligned. And so this is what I'm calling lack of coherence. And why is this important now? Well, as I've said, like this is this huge effort we are putting in as change makers, everyone in their own area, but we don't see it that much changing the world, really, right? Like it seems that it gets less and less. And sorry, I'm very interactive person. So would you mind if we start kind of trying to interact with thumbs or hearts or in whatever form? I love to speak to people and I get, thank you, Rex. Wonderful to have a feedback because this should be kind of a dialogue, right? So anyway, so I see that effort, I feel that effort and little impact. And it's not due to lack of intelligence. We have so many powerful initiatives, resources, intention, but then due to fragmentation and lack of coordination as well across systems, we don't get the result we want because systems don't change simply through isolated brilliance, right? So that said, we see that coherence is no longer like a luxury, it's really a critical infrastructure, a new technology. So we really need, if we want systemic regenerative impact, then we need this alignment, this inner relational and collective coherence, all aligned, together with coordinated actions. And I've been working for over 2 decades, almost 3 now, across education, community building, systems transformation, integrating also. I love that you brought the body, the other senses, Anna Marie, because I'm also working a lot with that and cross-sector collaboration from corporate world to NGOs to agroforests and organic farming to education, families, youth, and also ecosystem design. So what you're seeing here is really not a theoretical concept, okay? This is just a little bit of a context, emerges from my lived experience and systemic research and really collective experimentation. And so let's go to this paradigm shift. Woohoo! From isolated action to coordinated ecosystems. And there we have our big teacher, nature, to show us how to do it, right? Through murmuration. And I wanted to bring this kind of video for us to bring nature in and to bring that teachings in of how those thousands of birds move together as one organism without colliding, really coordinating, and by doing so, becoming much stronger. So I don't know if somebody could bring that 1-minute video for us.
I have it, Patricia, but I'll have to take your slide down in order to put this up. Is that okay?
Okay.
Yeah, I will do that. And also I will use this as an opportunity while I pull this up to encourage Della to go to the other room for your presentation. Della, you are presenting in the other room. There's a link in the chat in case you didn't know. I think people have been trying to reach you. Okay, so here you go, Patricia.
Thank you so much.
You want any audio on?
We can put the audio to get the total sense of it, but it's just to inspire us how they really get together. Let us get inspired by that. Can you imagine? Can you imagine that with us? We are also nature, so we can also do that. This is the whole project. If I had to sum up in one slide, this would be it. How can we do this paradigm shift? Creating a human murmuration. How does that sound for you? Would you be interested in embodying what nature has already brought here to us to learn? How can we do that together in that synchronized movement, making each of us stronger in that whole process, allowing us to really not just create, but show and be in the world as an organism. So yeah, this is the whole project. And again, what is regenerative coherence is this sum up of inner coherence, relational coherence, and this ecosystem coordination. So when we have the alignment across those three layers, we'll have systemic leverage. So we can go to the next level of what we want all to create. And I want to bring here an invitation. Also wanting to check if you want to go there, but talking about coherence the whole time and not kind of having a taste of what I'm talking about, I thought, okay, might be a good idea just to bring one tiny practice that we could do all together to experiment in our own body. What might it feel? I mean, there are different practices, different ways of aligning and being coherent again. I thought of sharing one very simple here. But before, I wanted to see, is it something that you would be interested in? Just please bring thumbs up or whatever forms. Okay, I see some thumbs up. Great. So let's go there. I invite us then to pause. Breathe deeply. You can close your eyes if you want. And I will invite the inner observer to come in. Just observe for now what is present in your body now. You don't need to change anything, nor judge anything. Just sensing, is there any tension in my body? What kind of emotion I'm holding? If there is a word that best describes your inner state at the moment, Let it emerge without any thinking. And if you were to say 0, I'm not aligned, I'm super stressed, and 10 is like I'm super in sync with my higher being. Where are you at right now? And let a note come from 0 to 10, just for yourself to sense into what are you feeling and embodying at this point. From this place, I want to invite you to just focus your attention now in the heart area and start visualizing the airflow coming in into that area and going out of that area. Just focusing for the next 1-2 minutes into breathing deeply and exhaling. Trying to find your own rhythm. Just putting attention into this heart area. Air flowing in and out to the heart and to the chest area. Now I would invite, if there was some tensions before, or if there is any kind of stress, I invite you to bring that stress or that feeling, that emotion, that tension into your heart right now. And at the same time, you put it there, and now you start bringing a bigger sense of gratitude that is kind of embracing that. A sense of appreciation for all we have, for all we are. For nature. And allow that sense of gratitude to really fulfill your heart area. You are visualizing that and sensing the breath coming in and out from your heart. Dissolving all those feelings and tensions that were present. And allowing our heart to really bloom. So we can have blooming love. We all. And from that stage, from where you are now, I invite you to activate another level of perception, bringing back your inner observer to kind of sense, scan your body all your bodies, your physical body, your energetic body, mental, emotional, spiritual. Sense what's present now. And again here, if there is a word that comes that best expresses your state of being now, let it come and emerge. And also here, if there is a note between 0 and 10, let it come too. And gently, very gently, keeping that state of being, I invite us to open our eyes and come back. And I would love to see how you are doing. If you want to put in the chat, or if you are, how are you now? Perhaps you do like that, some kind of thumbs up or hearts. Are you feeling somehow better than when we started 3 minutes ago? Oh, Daniel said coherent. Thank you. Wonderful. Any other voice? Went from 3 to 8. Wow, John. Isn't that amazing? Like in 3 minutes, what's possible from 3 to 8? Like those are tools that are available for us. Imagine us doing that in a larger scale, not just in us, but all together. And that's what the lab is all about. So let me go there and share with you what has been thought so far. And this chat came into, so I'm not able to. Okay, so what is the Regenerative Coherent Lab? So it's a 9-month ecosystem initiative that will be based on this alignment of inner, relational, and systemic coherence. We'll be cultivating coordinated regenerative impact at the intersection of different topics related to global issues. So for whom is this? For any leaders that want to make a bigger impact and like feel we are really giving it all and that makes an impact, right? We are being the whole contribution we can be to life in its all forms. And the criteria for the group is how can we bring relevant stakeholders in that theme of the lab, having all continents being represented here with different backgrounds, and also very important, having the ancestors' wisdom in the group, because this holds this feminine principle we have already so beautifully heard here in this salon today that Umu brought us, and this poem and many others. So we need that to be there because that's the main voice we want all to hear and give birth to in the new earth. And the youth, because for me, youth is like really this force of this leverage point for the whole new earth to emerge with all their potential and their vision. So how can we make sure they can be there helping build this new earth, and world? So each lab will vary from 12 people to maximum 84. This allows us to have 12 to 14 small groups of 6-7 people each. And I like now already learning from murmuration teachings, you know how those birds, like they can be 30,000 birds, how they coordinate. Imagine they doing consensus all the time. Hey, no, I don't know this and that. So they coordinate into groups of 6 or 7, and that's what we are simulating here, the same idea. So bringing now how it's gonna be working in a more practical way. It's a facilitated journey that will integrate different tools and frameworks, and we'll go through this whole process. Listening and alignment, ecosystem mapping, coordinated prototyping, and integration and field impact. In each of them, we have different tools and frameworks. I've listed some of them here. In the next slides, you have an idea because there are many tools we can use in each of them. But I'm bringing here, like, for instance, for listening, the 4 levels of listening, nonviolent communication. So we can really generate dialogues that are generative, that we can, instead of just learning from the past, which is important that we bring the ancestors, but how can we really bring in the future too? What wants to emerge? And we'll do that through embodied practice. We'll have leadership assessment and many other artifacts I'll show soon. For the ecosystem mapping, we will be using mostly 4D mapping, because in a 3-hour session, it's amazing. We can see the system now. We can see the highest version of that system. We can get leverage points there, and we don't lose time, energy, and money in things that are too stuck. Instead, we focus on putting our time and resources where there is more possibilities of unfolding the change we want to see. And then we'll have, for coordinated prototyping, we will be using design thinking, like with 3D map. We'll bring the 4 directions in. We'll have dragon dreaming, the small groups as well. And the other one, from the very beginning, we have this aim to have a collective project together. That is not my project, Daniel's project, Rachel's project, it's a project that emerges from this group. And this is so beautiful. It's so amazing and powerful to experiment. I've had that experience, and it's like, sometimes you think, we are not moving forward in here. Like, it seems really too complicated, each one wanting to go to a different place. And we end up coming to a very common project that we can all work with. And that's the aim of this, from a coherent place. That's what we are getting in the 9th month learning journey. And even already with time to implement its first steps. Okay, so here are just some ideas. I'm not going to run through this, but just that you know, I'm seeing the time here, just that you know there are different tools for the individual, for the relational, for the systemic coherence that we could be using. And so just to finish, saying we have different phases for that lab. Like, my whole vision is we start this year. This came through DSS, so I want to honor that, and I want to have the first lab, like an online pilot, starting already in July. So yay, we can be together there launching it. And that one would have like just 12 leaders really to experiment in a safe container where we can launch it. But already for next year, I envision, and I can sense it already, having different online labs with different themes that would be interweaving. And we could even have a global gathering in the year to come. For this first one in July, I was talking about 3 things, and now I got that it had to have a little bit more. So we have 6 areas there. Youth thriving, yoo-hoo, Gigi, let's go for that, huh? Climate justice as well, mental health. So those are the main things that we are seeing as like super, we are talking and we are tagging into environmental and ecological divide with climate justice. We are talking about spiritual divide with mental health, like this disconnection with the self, and we are talking about relational democracy, digging into directly into the social divide. How can we, by relational democracy, how can we learn again to talk, to listen to each other, to create generative dialogues, that we go out of that polarization the whole world is living at this moment. Technology use, it's not just because we are using technology, but also how can we use technology in favor of the change and not as the destruction force. And money, the same thing. We always hear, we cannot do that, we don't have money. So this is something so typical from change makers. I don't know if that's your reality, but definitely the reality I've been working with. So how can we bring that into the system and see what other ways of money distribution and abundance is possible for us to move forward? And you might feel, oh, you want to do that already in the lab. You're getting like the whole main topics that nobody is getting how to go from there, and you want to do that in 9 months. So let me just be clear on one thing here. Yes, we want to do that, and that's why I said about the criteria. We want to use that space, weekly meetings with all that infrastructure supporting us, so we can start weaving into those relationships. We are relationships, and what we normally see is each one focusing on their own area of interest, which is fine, and this will still be happening. But here we'll be kind of creating that common vision for us to go from there, from that common project that we can bring to our own areas and start digging in and kind of doing like a mycelium, right? Spreading that so we have that reach many more people and have broader impact. So why is this different? It's not another program. It's really an ecosystem container that will build coordination capacity, bridging this inner work with systemic strategy, moving so from fragmentation to coherence to regenerative impact. So here's the other invitation and question I would love to hear from you in some ways. Does that talk to you? Does that resonate? Can you feel that tension between this urgency and fragmentation? So if you feel that, and if what I said resonated to you, then it will be lovely to be talking more. Let's connect and let's see what comes from this. So thank you so much. I will leave here my contacts as well. So if you want to reach out afterwards, it will be lovely to deepen that conversation. Thank you.
Patricia, wow, thank you. It's so inspiring. I really deeply resonate with the concept of coherence across many systems, and I'm really inspired by the global perspective that you have of, putting your heart's vector and life's work towards integrating all of these different systems into a meaningful coordination. It looks very exciting and very meaningful, and I appreciate that that's what you're drawn to do, and very excited to see you develop it more.
Thank you so much, Rex. It resonated here in my heart, what you said. Thank you.
Great. And I will hand it over to you, Amanda.
Awesome. Thanks, Rex. That was so inspiring, Patricia. I just want to say, murmurations, let's go. It's all about that coherence, on board. So up next, we have our dear Roxi that is coming to share some goodness with us. And Roxi here is a regenerative artist, protopian futurist, ontological designer, experiential producer, transdisciplinary social sculpture and creative doula. She's a student of living systems, regenerative design, and decolonial sustainability. She has over 15 years of experience working at the intersection of art, science, experience, and technology. Her quest is to harness this intersectional approach to catalyze social and systemic change through inclusive transdisciplinary collaborations for the regeneration of our planet and culture. Her path is grounded in a commitment to creating inspiring and embodied ways of learning together. As behavior is a function of culture, she supports and develops creative cultural interventions, what we're experiencing today, and co-learning evolutionary containers. Her thesis is rooted in a belief that we perpetuate equitable and just culture, societal behaviors participating in life-affirming ways of being will emerge in that process. As we are facing a crisis of imagination, Roxi's efforts encourage collective imagination beyond the limits of the plausible and probable, into the possible, in service to the potential of a world where all life thrives at the expense of none. She is a deep believer and practitioner in designing for states of being, having those states of being prime us for connection, reparations, and regeneration with ourselves, each other, and our beautiful living planet. Yeah.
Wow.
Oh my God, I just had to read all of that because you're so cool.
Oh,
And
I
you're doing
love
so
you.
many cool things. And you synthesize, and you're a grand weaver. Roxi is a grand weaver. And you gotta be confident to be in a position that you're in. And you love so deeply. And you have a capacity that is just like unmatched. So I'm grateful to be in school with you.
I'm grateful to be in school with you too. I did not expect my bio to be read. It's humbling and beautiful, and also written with so much care, so it's really lovely to reflect that back and be like, yeah, yes, that is what I stand for in this world. Tutu. Oh, such an honor to be here and be living it, doing it, and witnessing everyone hold all of the facets of this work together and feel so much lighter in the process. I had the intention of saying it earlier when we began the whole event today, that doing this really feels like a big collective prayer for the world that we are participating in creating and bringing forward. And in a very contemporary way of praying actively, it's like that active hope that Joanna Macy talks about. We're practicing and we're pulling it forward and we're spell casting. And I know, Amanda, that you know this so deeply because you also are totally wildly devoted to doing things that seem completely insane sometimes in terms of what it brings alive in us and what it calls us into being and doing, and what it calls our friends into being and doing together. And it's very akin to what Patricia was talking about. There is a much bigger web that we are weaving. There is a much bigger web that is weaving us. And that's the collective work. And right now, this moment, this 9 hours together amidst this 8-day long 24/7 festival and vigil. I love that you called it a vigil, because it is literally like a big collective prayer, grieving, celebrating, honoring, doulaing the world that we know that we are actively participating in, even if it is seemingly in some parts feeling like it is darker than ever. But we got to make it through that darkness and know that just because that is what is being amplified in modern, in primary news channels, that's not the whole of the story. And so taking this time to sit together and weave together and introduce each other and acknowledge each other and do all the work on the back end and do the spreadsheets and and encourage people to share their voice, perfect, imperfect, in progress, whiteboards, perfectly articulated videos, like all across the board, paintings in progress, movement and action. It's all part of the bigger web that we're weaving. And originally I was just kind of on the schedule to kind of welcome everyone back from the Choose Your Own Adventure, get us going. But I know Eve is probably the one who put my bio in there and made it so that I would be acknowledged, because I don't even think I really acknowledged who I was when I welcomed today. But here I am, a student and devotee of this practice, and maybe I'll use this as a moment, an invitation. I almost said invocation. I love the way you say that when you say that, Amanda. Um, Ahead of who's going to share next, who is in Design Science Studio, who I think you will love, Amanda, and everyone here. Such an incredible being, and last time wasn't able to share. And I know that John is going to intro you in a few moments now, Scott. But because your session is about the prosperity loop, I will take just a moment and share a link in the chat, which is the bit.ly/nourish DSS, and just share everyone like some opportunities to support the work that supports all of these people, which is the Design Science Studio. And we have kind of a few pathways that we created that I think are really beautiful. And I'll just kind of walk through them because they're in this page that I'm showing. And so there's our scholarship fund, which is incredible. We did the calculations year before last, and we had it was like the equivalent of almost $500,000 of scholarships. This program in the Design Science Studio has primarily supported folks who self-identify as being from a marginalized or oppressed community. And that means that some of the voices that DeEmpress was speaking about earlier, the most important voices that have been suppressed or quieted or cast aside or silenced or diminished, are the ones who both like are showing up to really help to shine the light in this regenerative evolution, and also the ones that need the support. And so we have always been committed in the Design Science Studio that if you want to be here, we will find a way. And that means that our team is very lovingly working for very modest amounts, and we're doing everything we can with every ounce that we have. And there's so much more that we would love to do. And for this year in cohort 4, if you go all the way, we had a goal of 38K, and we've made it a good chunk of the way, which is cool. And this was just for this cohort, but we've done the calculations, and right now we're operating at like a fifth of what our operating costs should be. And that's amazing that we have a fifth of it, but also DSS should take like closer to $400,000 to $500,000 a year to run. And it's a lot of volunteer effort, and it's also a lot of work for a few people who put in most of their time. And so even just like making it a little more towards this goal, which gets us another 15K, helps us so much. It's incredible how much every little bit counts. And so this is one really wonderful way to contribute. And we have this idea fund, the Inclusion, Diversity, Equity, and Access Scholarship Fund. I felt so clever when I realized that spelled idea. And then another really great way is we have this patron opportunity, which sort of is akin to like a Patreon, but it's really just about recurring support. And Mark did these really beautiful drawings of the seed, which I know you love, Amanda, sprouting and pollinating. And so there's actually, I think, this little animation here of those drawings. And to be a patron, it just means that money recurs. And I'm looking at you, John Van Meter, who's been donating regularly monthly to the Design Science Studio for a few years. And there was actually a few months in those times where before we formally had this, we had like a small opportunity to do this some years ago, and you were the only person who had signed up who remained consistent in this recurring one. People have given us one-time donations, but it's different to know every month this like little bit comes in, right? And so we set this up so that people could contribute regularly. And I think it says it on the main page, but like, support the ecosystem that supports the ecosystem, right? And then this last one is just like a one-time gift, which is also super, super helpful. And we have so many fun ideas for the patrons of like doing special events and like honoring them. And it's something that has always been critical for the arts and for culture, is recurring patronage, and knowing that there is so much work that exists beyond the edges of capitalism, and we are committed regardless to continuing to uplift the cultural producers and those who are shifting and shaping culture, because as culture changes, behavior changes, and as behavior changes, society changes, and as society changes, systems change, and as systems change, the world changes. And so we remain devoted to that. And I think it's a perfect thing to share right before Scott comes up and shares about the prosperity loop. And I went a teeny bit over on time. I was going to try to save us time by not speaking too much, but I will take this inspiration from you, Scott, to come up and share that, because I think it is so important that we find ways to be in reciprocal support. And there's so many ideas that we have about creating like flow funding that like comes through and helps nurture all the different parts of the ecosystem. We get to be an ally for so many, and there's so many different types of resources that can flow, and we do our best to find pathways and tend to those flows, and as many as we can. And one of those flows that I know that we need to and are actively trying to tend more is literally the flow of money. So I am so grateful as we're having this regenerative and also regenerous conversation that you are going to be sharing next about your Design Science Studio project. So I will welcome John Van Meter up here. Hi, dear. And you can welcome Scott. Oh, John, I can't hear you. You seem to be unmuted, but
There I am.
wonderful. Hi.
I just wanted to take a second and acknowledge the fact I was a lucky recipient of a partial scholarship my first year. And I was so deep in the communication machine that when I saw the application for DSS, it's like I found my people, that I have to be there. But I couldn't justify it until someone said, well, we can offer you a scholarship. And I was so excited. I was so impressed in a 7-month sprint of creativity, of bringing my vision to life. And at the end of that, it was like a no-brainer. I'm going to turn around and do this for somebody else. I have to share this. This has to be nurtured in the world. And so Scott is a civic educator, a visual artist whose work blends systems design, policy, and creativity through the prosperity loop. He explores the regenerative ways to circulate value. And I'm looking forward to hearing Scott and telling us about the prosperity loop.
All right. Well, I'll go ahead and start. I wanted to say I had the opportunity. Everybody here is so inspirational. I had the opportunity to join Malcolm's session on dissolving the polycrisis, and was really inspired by that. And just kind of want to say that what I'm going to do today is to play a video of a presentation of my project, which I hope you'll take as a proposal for one possibility of addressing some aspects of the polycrisis. So I'm going to share my video with you. And that'll take most of the session, and then maybe there'll be a chance for a question or two at the end. So here we go. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity to present to you today, and a special thanks to Roxi and the DSS team for putting this event together. My name is Scott Huddy. I have a background in fine arts, system design, and entrepreneurship. We're living through three crises at once: economic inequality, accelerating climate disruption, and eroding social trust. The problem isn't just the crises themselves, it's that our policy tools treat them as separate problems. A carbon market here, a means-tested program there. Siloed interventions rarely produce systemic change. What if we designed for wholeness instead? This is where the prosperity loop comes in. It's a framework for rethinking economic design, drawing on ecological economics, post-Keynesian macroeconomics, and complex systems theory. Its inspiration comes from how energy moves in nature, from John Fullerton's work on regenerative economics and Kate Rayworth's donut economics. The name comes from the torus, a natural form that embodies continuous, self-sustaining circulation. Think of it less as a policy proposal and more as a new operating logic. The core thesis: build feedback loops into the economy and you get something more stable, more fair, and more regenerative. Now, why a torus? Because nature uses it constantly. Smoke rings, vortex rings, the Van Allen belt, these aren't decorative shapes. They recirculate energy, maintain their own boundaries, and absorb shocks without collapsing. In economic terms, that's exactly what we want: value that circulates, not leaks, stagnates, or concentrates at the top. Let's get concrete. The prosperity loop runs on four interacting components: the free market engine, commons fees, social wealth fund, and a universal dividend. Each has real strengths, each has real weaknesses. What's different here is integration. When these loops interact, something new emerges that none of them produces on its own. The free market engine is the foundation, the circulation of goods, services, and innovation through private enterprise and competition. It's remarkably efficient at creating and exchanging value, but without boundaries or feedback, it concentrates wealth and externalizes costs. That's why it needs the other loops. Commons fees set the ecological boundary, the price. They price the use of shared resources: air, water, minerals, data, keeping total throughput within what ecosystems can actually renew. This internalizes costs that markets otherwise ignore. The catch, without visible returns to communities, these fees are politically fragile. The Social Wealth Fund gathers commons revenues into a publicly managed portfolio, preserving and regenerating public wealth so that the value derived from shared resources keeps circulating through society. On its own, a wealth fund risks becoming a political slush fund. The universal dividend closes the loop, distributing a baseline income to all citizens, establishing a social floor, and keeping values circulating at the household level. A dividend without complementary loops can become fiscally unstable. Here's how it moves. Economic activity intensifies. Production, consumption, generating pollution and resource depletion. Commons fees activate, signaling a market correction. Revenue accumulates in the Social Wealth Fund, which invests in restorative and productive assets. Those returns fund the universal dividend distributed to all citizens. Citizens spend it, sustaining circulation within ecological limits. Clean innovation is rewarded. Extractive activity bears its true cost. The result: a self-correcting economy that adapts to shocks, stays within planetary limits, and keeps everyone in the loop. These aren't abstract ideas, they're built on proven policies. Norway's government pension fund is the gold standard for sovereign wealth management. Alaska's permanent fund has paired a public fund with a universal dividend for over 4 decades. Finland's UBI pilot showed real gains in well-being and security without reducing workforce participation. And British Columbia's carbon tax and dividend clearly shows how pricing pollution can reduce emissions maintain prosperity, and remain politically durable. Each illustrates one loop of the prosperity loop. None yet integrates all four into a single self-balancing system. That's the step we're proposing. Now let's look at an example with a little story. Regenera is a city we've imagined to see whether these ideas actually hold together in lived practice. It arrived from the clouds carrying a foundational question. What if the economy of a city circulated like a torus, continuously, self-regeneratively? The answer is the prosperity loop. In Regenera, it isn't a policy proposal, it's simply how things work. The free market engine, the artisan quarter, and the vision train. Commerce moves through Regenera the way blood moves through a body, not pooled, not hoarded, but flowing. The artisan quarter is where makers, builders, doers, and artists produce real goods and services, exchanging value through market mechanisms that reward ingenuity over extraction. The market here is neither suppressed nor worshipped. It's understood as a generative pressure that initiates flow within the torus. Wealth is created here. The question is always, where does it go next? Commons fees, the Council of Guardians and the Land Stewardship Compact. The land beneath the city, the airspace above it, the aquifers and forests of the bioregion below. None of these belong to any individual citizen. They belong to the living system itself. Citizens who use these commons pay a commons fee, not a penalty, not a tax in the punitive sense, but a rent recapture, returning to the collective what was never privately created in the first place. The guardians steward this covenant. They are not regulators, they are ecological memory. The fees they collect don't disappear into bureaucracy, they channel value into the next loop. The National Wealth Fund, the Builders Collective, and Bucky's Lab. Every commons fee flows into Regenera's Sovereign Wealth Commons, a permanently capitalized public fund that cannot be liquidated, cannot be captured, and compounds across generations. The Builders Collective and Bucky's Lab are its investment arm, funding regenerative infrastructure, knowledge systems, and the physical fabric of the city itself. The fund is not charity, it's the city's metabolic reserve, the soil from which new growth continuously arises. The freedom dividend, citizenship in the universal endowment. Every citizen of Regenera receives a freedom dividend from the Sovereign Wealth Commons. It arrives not as charity, but as inheritance, your share of what the commons generates. It is unconditional. The outcast receives it, the nurturer receives it, the shaman and the trickster and the newly arrived explorer all receive it equally. This dividend does something structural that no other mechanism achieves. It permanently decouples survival from submission. Citizens can take risks, contribute without pay, apprentice without starving, care for children and elders without economic penalty. The freedom dividend is the condition of possibility for everything the Renaissance values. Prosperity was never meant to pool, it was always meant to circulate. That's the design principle. That's the city. That's the loop. The prosperity loop is more than a metaphor. It's a structured framework for 21st century economic design. Resilience, equity, and ecological balance built in from the start. The architecture exists, the policies exist. What's needed now is integration, modeling, and the courage to pilot something new. That's where communities like this one come in. Together, we can turn proven ingredients into something coherent and durable. If these ideas resonate, I'd love to explore what working together might look like. Thank you. So I'll just say that all of these parts are on their own, they already exist. It's the connection that's important in this that regenerates a system. And I think that there are a variety of policies at the US national level that are already in Congress. They just need to be promoted as well as connected to produce something like this. So I'll leave it there.
Wow, wow, wow. What a beautiful bringing together of these four disparate ideas. And acknowledging it's all part of the same situation. Daniel, you have a question.
More of an enthuse. I just want to say, riffing off of Patricia's presentation where she was talking about that human murmuration side, it's just spectacular. Seeing what you're envisioning and the depth and elegance of it, and seeing how it fits with so many of the other pieces that are getting brought to the table here at Design Science Studio. And so just a lot of hurrah and excitement, and looking forward to digging really into the depths of what it is that you're presenting here.
Thank you, Daniel.
Yes, thank you, Scott, for that clear and concise alliteration. Just bringing together what are perceived as such separate ideas. So now we're going to welcome Karishi Wington.
I think Gigi is going to welcome
Gigi?
Yes, thank you so much, John.
Pardon me.
Hello, everyone. No, thank you, John. Thank you. And thank you, Scott, for that beautiful presentation. So I'm very honored to be welcoming Karishi because I find that poets are the ones who speak the language of the soul, speak the language of the earth. So Karishi Wigington, I hope I'm pronouncing your last name correctly, is a multidisciplinary artist and educator whose work invites people to remember their worth, love themselves, and create change from that place. I love that. Karishi, I read something about you that really touched me, that you've been described as a youth magnet because of the way that young people are drawn to your presence and to the spaces that you create for them to lead. And so with that, I will open the floor to you, open the space for you to share your poem, the Enough poem. Welcome, Karishi. Welcome to this space, and the floor is yours. Thank you so much.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. I appreciate that. Lovely intro. Hey everybody, I'm Karishi Wigington, and I'm gonna change. I was gonna do the Enough List poem, but I started feeling like this oldie but goodie. It's called We Women. And I think the first place I read it was for Design Science Studio, actually, at one of the blooms. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was it. So I'm gonna bring this back. This is my energy today. We women, we women, we women are red, blood-painted fierce, bearers of root history, sacrifice and ascension, cardinal, colored courageous by time, carrying shadow magic in our hands. How else could we have survived? Cotton, picking fingers bleeding, little girl of 5, a playground of work in fields of white, much bigger than pink, hard and soft, strapped in a pillowcase and daddy's tie, looking like the grown folks, just miniature. Mama Dear said, Gramps put her in the fields that day. She's been working ever since. Fingernails filled with Arkansas clay and sunshine, hard work and dreams, both bound by earth and reaching for sky while thinking we're cute. We women are musk-scented sugar bushes, formed, stretched in struggle, soaring to get towards greener pastures like hope. We not wild, we regular, not realizing that wild is our superpower, maneuvering through wilderness and concrete terrain seamlessly, dancing in duality, elemental, shapeshifters, day and night, dark and light, fragile is a luxury we can't afford. Those women, the women I come from, smell of anomaly. Entazaki's rainbow-filled feminine, different, drawing all the complexities we possess, dipped in dark phrases of womanhood, transforming from Friday night juke joints to Sunday bests. Perfume-scented artfulness, we wear it well. We women are feral, feline foresight, allowing us to see in all directions. Cat eyes are special, like us, carrying consciousness in our wombs, elusive beings, bending time to our will, ageless apparitions. You don't see us coming, we appear, divine instruments of insight, moonlight and sun rays, kissing, crystal shimmered skin, got us serving glow, no matter how tired or low we get. Fierce, bellies pitted with a hunger for freedom and a deep knowing. We are jitterbugs, waving mops and brooms through the air like magical wands. Diagon Alley ain't got nothing on us. We art, we magic, we Roombas, mirage, using our hands to paint new realities. We women are lionesses, walking, huntress, stalking, Amazonian style warrior goddesses. We built for this, mobbing sleek and slick, toting guns and ice picks, in case you want to play fool. A bloodline of survivors between sun and moon, quick lips, high temper, throwing fists and hot grits. Step into anyone who gets in our way. Majestic sisterhood, walking the earth with a dignified gait, strut like we noble, unruffled and calm. 3/4 love, a quarter fight. Dora Milaje, Queen Nzinga, the Agoji, rolled into one. Switchblades and purses, knives and shoes, Afro picks in back pockets in case there's some shanking to do. On alert always. Speak with command. In this family, the Don Noir Daily gets the news before it hits the stands. We women are heptagrams, odd-shaped, rare, 7 points of sunshine, casting, monuments of motherhood. We birthed you, mitochondria measures of first. In the beginning, there was us. Bleed our sacredness, stars align. We are both equal parts masculine and feminine, in time and on it, divine astral projections possessing the strength of a whisper. Spirits talking, hovering, shadows of wisdom looming essence, longing for form. We alchemists, we charm, manifest what's needed despite challenge or harm. Our food, spells, our love, potions, hands weaving wholeness, sewn together, quilts of warmth blanket you, babies on breasts, our magic proof a design, folding endurance into layers of skin, simultaneously stitching stability and strength into seams of familial souls. Those women, the women I come from, unyielding fight, fending off pain, raising fortresses of protection and call them home. Been training for this lifetimes, packing burlap, 100-pack sacks on backs scarred from too much life, walking miles, scaling fences, kicking ass, creating mighty enchantments to preserve who we be, intangible like Atlantis, the mascara. Grand illusions can't be seen. We move see-through, marked with scarlet letters, proudly mother, magical warrior, quintessential queen, laying on of hands, prayers of perseverance. Planted in each jar of fruit can or tea cake offered, kitchen tables become altars of energy, serving revitalization, worn, tattered blackness. We don't quit, playing numbers for ritual. 7, 3, 21, 13. Our existence is symbolic. Elements brewing, conspiring to ensure that our survival exists. We Black, we powerful, we women. Thank you all. I wanted to offer that in these times, it is essential to get clear on who we are. It was said recently, I saw a post on Instagram that said the age of Pisces was all about belief. And that's why we saw this mass push to organized religion and Western religions. And the age of Aquarius is all about what we know. And the veil is super thin right now. So if we are not clear about who we are, why we are, what we are, if you don't know, you know for yourself, then you will get lost. And it's not about what's going on in the dominant narrative in the country, in the world. All of that is important, right? But we have to remember that we are key elements of that. And you have to get very, very, very clear in this moment about who you are so that you can really fight what's happening out there. That's my offering. Good luck, everybody. Ashe. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you, Karishi. You brought
you brought the alchemy, you brought the warrior out in all of us, in the women, in the men. Thank you for that cosmic medicine and that truth. I mean, I cannot tell you, you moved me so deeply, and really your poetry is medicine. So thank you so much for that. I can't wait to discover more of your work. And you are a magnet. I know why people call you a magnet, because you pull us into that vortex of yours with that poetry that is just oozes out like just the most beautiful nectar I could ever imagine. So thank you for that. Really, a heartfelt thank
So
you.
much. Thank you. Take care, everybody.
Oof, yes. Oh my gosh, that poem, straight from the soul of a goddess. Amazing. Almost knocked me out of my seat. Really enjoyed it. Um, I am excited to be able to bring John back up to the stage and introduce John's talk that he's going to give us. Just read you a little bit about John's bio. John is a visionary, creative engineer with a deep desire to transform the world into one that is good for all. So I'm excited to hear what you're going to tell us about today, John. Welcome back.
Yeah, thank you so much, Rex. First off, just want to say thank you to everyone who's presented today already, and everyone who's going to present, everyone in this cohort. Gratitude is such a beautiful way to open and love and get to that love and get it to get out in a way that's not forced or feels wrong or off or something. And that love is so necessary. It's so intrinsic to all of us and to everything, to relationship, to our entire being. Everything we do, everything we have is because of love. All the good and the bad, which is kind of part of what my project is about, which is just noticing and observing the self and the environment, and where there are what we call bad, where there are places that aren't working for us, aren't working for our species, aren't working for the planet, aren't working for life itself, and to choose to do something about it, while also realizing that the things that we consider bad are good to somebody, or are, somebody is doing something with this that is useful to them. And selfishness can become such a demon. And I think it's important to have a healthy sense of self with a healthy sense of environment. And if either one of those goes too far, then we start getting into like what I call bad, which is disease and illness and, the power structures that control and that try to squeeze life out of people and all that kind of stuff. But also to recognize that the people who are doing the squeezing, they need something. And every attack is a form of a cry for help. And in order to, I think, my heart, kind of ironically, I suppose, I tend to think my mind and heart is separate, but it's really just in one body. It's not like they're separate. To recognize our oneness, we can't cast anyone out of our heart. And that includes the whole biosphere. So often my thinking is about humans, but it's really about the whole thing. And it's about getting into a place of understanding the earth and the cycles and the sky and the way things flow naturally and the way things can get stuck and where stuckness might be a good thing, and just putting everything in the right relationship and kind of experimenting and playing and treating it as not something that's not serious, but something that we're blessed to get to experience, and that it's so just so unbelievable. And there's this space that I can get to sometimes that's just so calm and so still and so centered, and doesn't ignore the storm, and it doesn't need to control the storm. It can actually thrive with the storm. So often, this systems that fail are man-made systems, and we find out more and more over time of like how to do things better, but we're still learning. We're still so young, and that's where compassion comes in. This just realization that we're not bad. We're not all bad. You know, there's so much we can do to grow, and that's part of the you know the bliss of life, that we get to do this. It's an experience. It's this, and not with, and also it's so important um, to not misplace the hardship, to not misplace the shadow, to see that that's actually the root ball underneath the whole tree structure of life, that we are our ancestors and our descendants and our friends and our kin and everyone all around. And so this contentment, I call it, is this balancing act with nature, which is a really good word for describing what we all are. And we don't even have to go into worrying about whether something is alive or not. Is a rock alive? Are we alive? How alive are we compared to the rock? Because it's all nature. And if we can just relate to nature in an abundant way, in a grateful way, in a trusting way, in a coherent way, we can thrive together as one life force, as one organism, as a human being, as one single human being that is our whole species, with all the other species. And of course not letting ourselves get eaten, not just like bowing to disease and all that stuff. And using our technology for each other, with each other, and to make life better. That's what we can do. And it's such this, we have such power, and it's so good. And we have to be careful that it doesn't go into good for some and not good for most, which we see a lot these days. And but there's so much we can do, and it's really, I feel hopeful for this whole cohort, this whole group, Buckminster Fuller's whole ideas. There's so much for me to do still, to learn, to understand, and to grow more. It's like I feel like I need like 10 lifetimes or something. Or really what I need is to collaborate with people. I need to communicate with more and more people, and to get my tendrils everywhere, and to share my ideas. I have so many ideas of ways to grow a structure, this living habitat. And it's like I'm both really scared to share it because it's like it's such a huge idea and it might not work, and but also I recognize that parts of it just won't work, and that's part of engineering and part of life and part of learning. um, let's see. And if there's one thing that I think we as a species desperately need to shift. It's our fear of darkness or shadows, because that's where the roots are. That's where growth is. That is the mother, the shadow energy, the power, the magic, the spelling. We're making marks on paper with dark ink. We are that. We aren't separate. And more. We're also more. And we're just ourselves. It's this whole ridiculously complicated thing, but so simple at the same time. I'm so just like, wow, we're here. Just feel so blessed, so tender, so ready. I feel the energy of the land, this getting ready to burst forth. It feels so good. And it's not that the opposite side, the fall time, is bad. It's all good. It's all part of this beautiful process. I love it so much. And yeah. Thank you all. This is all I have to share right now. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, John. Your presence and groundedness and awareness is inspirational always. And I really love how you have so much compassion throughout every area of your vision, from the macro to the micro, from self all the way to ecosystems. And it feels so beautifully placed in this moment, and also in Dissolve and Bloom, to recognize the importance of, your one wish, that we don't look away from the shadow. Seems like Dissolve and Bloom is the perfect place for that awareness and for all the compassion and vision that you have. And let me be a voice that says, never worry if it's not going to work. Just do the thing that's in your heart. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, John. Thank you, Rex. And with that, I'm very pleased to turn to our friend John Van Meter, who we will bring up on stage in just a moment. John, great to see you. I'm really looking forward to hearing from you. So let's share a little bit more about John. So John is a design science engineer who uses his knowledge of synergetic methods to create his vision of a portable shelter that brings the necessities of life to wherever your adventure leads you. I love that, John. Love the adventure and home together. So with that, let's open the floor to you and hear and see your vision come to life. Over to you, John.
Thank you so much. And I just want to acknowledge John and his beautiful heart for expressing what it is to be human now. And when I joined the DSS cohort 2 years ago, I had been gifted with a vision. After studying the works of Bucky Fuller for about 20 years and becoming very intimately acquainted with the vector equilibrium and the jitterbug, which essentially says nothing is static, nothing stays the same. And I've had the experience of being homeless in my life. And my heart goes out to everyone who does not have a shelter. And what came together for me in a synergistic way is this vision of an idea to bring a portable shelter to people in need and people who just desire to have a safe space. So I've created an idea called a magic shelter. It's an expanding cube. And the concept is it's a bicycle trailer that pops up into a tent, but it can also be scaled up to a survival sphere for those in disaster areas and just those needing a safe space. So I have a couple of concept videos I'm going to share with you. And it's been my extreme pleasure to work with people within the DSS who helped me design these videos, who helped me crystallize my vision to create a company that is supportive of those who have no, it's a life raft for those who have no support. So with that, I will go ahead and share.
Thank you so much, John.
for sharing this incredible vision. You know, personally, this really speaks to me because I've spent a lot of time in sort of post-disaster areas. I lived for a couple of years in Haiti after the earthquake, and I've been in war zones, and I can just see, you know, they say that by I think there's 300 disasters we experience a year. And then by 2050, they say it will go up to something like 1.5 a day. Yeah, so thank you for this. Do you have anything else you wanted to share? I mean, what is your sort of big vision, or what is it that you need to kind of make this a reality?
Well, it's my situation is this, that I know that I can produce these units at a reasonable cost. And by also employing the people who are most in need and using my philanthropy to provide, I know that in my county alone, there are nearly 7,000 unhoused persons. And because we suffer snow and freezing temperatures over the winter, we lose individuals every year. And it's my hope to provide the solution to anyone in need and to bring about a change. If I can provide for one person for one day to keep them from dying overnight, I will have achieved my goal.
Thank you. Thank you so much, John, for sharing this. And yeah, power to you, and hope that those who want to join with you to deploy the solution connect with you. And yeah, I see some comments also in the chat around synergies from Daniel, from Fiona. So yeah, looking forward to continuing the conversation. Thank you, John, for sharing this really important work.
Thank you.
I'm so excited that you just shared John right before Samantha, because Samantha Sweetwater, who is a dear friend and visionary in the Design Science Studio, is actually going to be sharing about place and from a variety of different contexts, but the opportunity to now have our consciousness attuned and aware of how important place and loving ourselves and locating ourselves in place, and what a being of place means, and what showing up to support being of place in so many different ways. And now a whole other dimension will come in with you here with us, Samantha. I'm so grateful that you were able to join, and it was so beautiful to get to be in place here together recently, hiking up that beautiful mountain in the place that we live and we get to reside, and witnessing the hawks and the creatures of this place, and just being on this journey. For those of you who don't know the work of Samantha Sweetwater, she is many things, and recently published an incredible book that should be one of those textbooks for everyone, everywhere, called True Human. She's a meta-relational educator, soul mentor, and founder of One Life Circle, and a teacher of teachers whose life and work are dedicated to the emergence of a planetary culture of homecoming that hums in harmony with life's song. And so Samantha's here to share with us a meditation and also just a grounding into locating ourselves within the living world. I'm so grateful that you were able to come and be a part of Dissolve and Bloom. It's been such an incredible adventure all day today, Samantha, and I hope that you feel warmly welcomed, as you are such an important part of this community. Welcome, love.
Thank you, Roxy. I have a question. If I asked people to unmute themselves, could they unmute themselves?
Yeah, they
Great.
can.
Great. I also want to thank you for that intro and just repeat the words like this meditation, my work in the world, is oriented towards creating cultures, creating and supporting us as human beings to be individuals and collectives who can co-create cultures that hum in harmony with life's song. Those words make me so happy because they're so on point to me. Thank you, John and John, for both of your presentations. They were really beautiful. Take a moment right now that this is a 10-minute invitation meditation of location. And I want to frame this by saying that one of the principles of colonizer culture is the imposition of mind over matter and the denial of the place-bound nature of existence, the interdependencies, the interbeing at the very heart of that is like the great mystery of relationality, is that everything co-creates everything and is infinitely co-causing. Nothing exists. The tree does not exist separate from the exhale of organisms. The computer does not exist separate from beings who want to communicate in increasingly refined ways. Everything coexists with everything else. Then in the way that I think about the emergence of this metacrisis moment that we find ourselves in, is that this time is the result of an age of separation where we as organisms did this experiment that was profoundly generative, but also profoundly violent, of separating ourselves from the causal flows that were embedded within, separating ourselves from nature, separating ourselves from the felt sense of interdependence with the wind or the water or the sunrise or the seeds or the microbes in the soil that we built a house on or put a parking lot on. And also a sense of separation from place, and that cut of it was a cut of intimacy and a cut of belonging, but also a cut of co-responsibility that has been amplified by cycles upon cycles of rupture of relationship with place, which is a rupture as fundamental. If you've ever had a deeply, deeply intimate relationship with a place that you have to leave, it is the same thing as leaving a lover. It's a different set of transcontextual relationships, but it's a set of transcontextual relationships that is as rich, if not more rich, than a relationship you have with a lover. Because if you and your family lived on a land for many, many generations, your gods would be on that land, and all of your survival and your water and your seeds and all of your stories would be woven and bound to your whole cultural praxis would be woven and bound to that land. So this is a simple meditation. It's a decolonizing meditation that recognizes that here is the place of power, and that to restore a sense of place is a fundamental design principle of cultures and identities that reorganize us in a way that we are attentive to our interdependence and interbeing, and co-creative with it in pragmatic ways. So what I want you to do right now is, wherever you're sitting, I want you to really sit with it's whatever time it is. For some of you, it might be like high noon, so this is a little harder. It might be nighttime, but I want you to sit with the sense of where the sun rose this morning relative to your body, or where the sun will set today relative to your body. So where the sun rose is east, and where the sun will set is west. And it's particularly precise right now because we're right in the equinox gate right now. So feel that and notice what direction your back is to and what direction you're facing. And I want to invite us to open up our mics and just speak that direction, because this is very cool. But what we will discover is that we're actually sitting in a circle. But what I want you to do is open your mic and speak the direction that you're facing. I am facing west, pretty due west.
West.
South.
East.
Northwest.
Southeast.
East.
West.
No. North.
West.
North.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you for co-creating a
Oh,
circle.
sorry.
We could keep going, but this is the beginning of locating. So now, having located us in a circle in all the places that we are, probably on both hemispheres, I believe. So in some places it's close to spring equinox, in some places it's close to fall equinox. We're still in this kind of equipoise moment, and on a Zoom call, that exercise gives us a sense for where we're all facing in a relative way, relative to each other and the earth and the sun and the equator. And now feel your body in the place that you're in. You feel your body as a place, as a location, as a physical temple and place that is located inside a place that is aligned with whatever directions that you are directionally aligned with. And just imaginally, or depending on how well you know this place, just sense into where the wind comes from most of the time in your place, and where the warmth comes from, and perhaps where the water lives, and maybe where the stillness lives, or the quietude or the cold. And then take a few breaths and just interbe for a moment with all the plant life, all the metabolizing, exhaling, inhaling plant life that is one with your breath. You breathe in the breath of all the other beings in the place that you inhabit. And you breathe out resource for these metabolizing beings. And just tune in for a moment within the room that you're in, if you're in a room, and then also beyond the room, around the space, the house, the home, the building where you are. Where the other beings, where the kindred beings, plant, animal, four-leggeds, winged ones, creepy crawlers, all the other beings that you're sharing this eco field with. Just identify if there may be one being like a tree, or there may be one species, like a particular butterfly or flower or grass, that makes that place feel like a place you love, like that is kindred to you in a way that it helps make that place familiar and home. And gather that one being or thing into your heart as a kindred companion in the homecoming to that place. And with gratitude, relocate in your own body, a little more connected, a little more attuned. And I want to invite you to come out of this meditation with a gentle commitment to attend to the place-bound nature of anything and everything you might design, to where the materials would be sourced from, where the energy comes from, where the waste goes, all the different places that are implicated in the purchase of a piece of clothing, or the taking out the trash, or the turning on of a faucet. Just a little more attention to the causal flows of place moving through your place in anything and everything that you are and do. Thank you. That was really delightful, Roxy. Thanks for inviting me. Thank you, everyone, for co-creating this.
Of course, you would bring us into the circle.
Been having so much fun doing that meditation on Zoom and getting into deeper there's a principle of fidelity that I work with. Like this is a third space. There's also a low fidelity space. So we amplify the fidelity by locating ourselves in physical space.
Mm-hmm.
It's really sweet.
It was beautiful to feel.
Mhm.
We started the day with Arturo. I don't know if you've met Arturo yet. You would love each other. You've definitely been near each other. And he brought in the directions, but very much from kind of the Mexican cosmovision, Toltec, like with the the conch and
So
the
good.
seeds and like the corn, and it was beautiful. And we all like were in circle finding the directions, and I kept becoming attuned to the fact that like my office and my bedroom all both face east, and the sun rises over the estuary, and like what an incredible beautiful gift that is. And I forget how
Mhm.
magnificent that is to get to rise with the sun.
So
And
good. And what I've learned over like a couple decades of being in different traditions, some of the indigenous traditions are like actually more cast around the planet than others. But it's really good to start if you're developing a practice with the directions, it's good to start with the actual place you live in.
mm,
And like the most decolonized, in my opinion, the most decolonized way to engage with the directions is to relate with them and start to explore the elemental flows in your relationship, because that's the design principle of locating that
mhm.
actually matters in terms of the resilience of design and culture and process. It's like if you were plunked in the middle of nowhere as an ancient or future person without all the resources that we have, you would actually have to figure out like where does the cold come from and where does the rain come from, and where what side do I shelter on with the trees, and where is the moss to tell me which way to go, and all of those things. So moss grows on the north side of trees. So things like that that you can only learn through observation over time.
Mhm.
That's like where the intimacy gets really rich. And then you're invoking from a place that's fully self-responsible in an original way.
Earlier today, the Empress also, as a part of the opening ceremony, shared some poetry, and her whole practice is called evoking belonging. And it was really nice to kind of drop into our kindredness with the living world and our belonging with it and in it and to it and our interbeing amongst it. And it was, yeah, that was really beautiful. The layers continue to deepen. Thank you so much for being here, love.
Yeah. Can I say a moment about the kinship journey?
Yes, that was the whole invitation. Please do it. I mean,
Um,
all of it was in here, but also I wanted you to very much share about the kinship journey.
Amazing. I have a 18-week online training program coming up that's almost full. There's only 5 spaces left. It's called the Kinship Journey, and it's a kind of a combined reading group of my book, True Human, and Resilience Leadership Boot Camp for our moment, and culture coding boot camp. For those of you who are really into the culture codes for a resilient future culture, it's a really good fit. And I have scholarships available for BIPOC and Global South stakeholders. So if folks here are called to that, we'd be really honored to have you. And anyone else who's here, we'd also be honored to have you. Thanks, Roxy. Thank you, everyone, so much.
I'm really excited to participate in it, I'll say. I think deeply studying alongside you and with you is in this very first round of the kinship journey is a really special moment. And right after the book came out and all of it, I hope other people join, and we can be in this practice of learning and practicing together in our bodies also, in our like collective resilience. It's such a gift to know that you are now taking all of your leadership and wisdom in holding circle and collective cultural transformation in praxis through the body and the wisdom of the full being into this curriculum. So thank you, Samantha, for doing it and for bringing that here. And I put the link in the chat.
Hannah Apricot, so good to see your name. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, love. And I'm going to bring up John to welcome Mark and Rex.
Yeah, thank you so much. It's so amazing how all of these individual parts, our stories, our projects all interweave. And that's what I think a lot of Mark's project is, of his writings and his beamings, his wordsmithing of all that's going on, um, mythologically and experimentally and all of it. In his words, Mark's myth is the sense of grasping our humanity and transition from reactionaries to refractionaries. And Rex is a really awesome engineer, someone I need to talk to actually. I think we have a lot of co-resonance that we could definitely come up with some really cool stuff. And in Rex's words, Rex is a physicist, nuclear engineer, and systems mystic imagining regenerative tech in symbiosis with life. That part in particular, I'm very excited about. And she works at the intersection of science, pattern seeing, and soulful innovation. Without further ado, here are Mark and Rex.
Thank you, John. I'm just going to say my face is already hurting because I've been working with Rex the last week, and every time we get together, and the energy that's coming out of us is just, it's amazing. And to have a physicist on board, and I'll follow up with Samantha, of have a physicist on board with us upon Kinship Earth. So I think we're going to just let Roxy roll the film. Rex, you just want to say hello, and then we'll get going with a little presentation for you.
Yeah, hello everyone. We'll let Roxy start the film so we can stay kind of on time, and I'll pop back in and explain what we're all about.
Once upon a moment that slipped out of time.
We were the quiet revolutionaries then, dreaming of futures beyond what had been. We watched the earth spin under sun and star and wondered if power could travel that far. So ring was drawn where the blue world turns, a halo of hope where the cosmos burns. Around the planet its arc was cast, a whisper of science from future to past. Why mind the planet or darken the sky when motion itself is passing by? As Earth turned slowly through night and day, the currents awoke in a silent ballet. Cities brightened, the night grew kind, energy flowing to all humankind. From deserts to islands the signal ran free, a song from the earth calling in unity. And people would say in the years that came after, Regenera began not with anger, but with laughter. A regenaissance rising from courage and care, where power meant healing the soil and the air. I think I hear the future's tune. It's calling to let Regenera bloom. Fellow revolutionaries, do you hear the call? To bring the genius of your heart to a future that awaits for us all.
Beaming from the heart of the regenaissance.
So our presentation today is really an invitation to join a collaborative small film project for a competition that is called the Future Vision X Prize competition. And we'll talk more about what that means and what entails throughout the presentation, but I want to hand it over to Mark here. Oh no, I'm sorry. I take that back. I am going to share my screen and I'm going to play a little 1-minute video that will explain what the competition is about from X Prize. So here we go.
You know, this exists because of a TV show, and I'm not exaggerating. Martin Cooper, the man who invented the mobile phone, said he built it because he saw it on Star Trek. He saw Captain Kirk flip open a communicator and thought, hey, I can make that real. The iPad, it started as a prop in Star Trek 2. Video calls, Star Trek. Voice assistants, Star Trek again. Props became products. Fiction became multi-trillion-dollar industries. So here's the question. What's a vision of the future that excites you? What stories offer humanity a hopeful, compelling, and abundant vision of what's to come? We're putting up $3 million in prize money plus millions in film financing to make your movie. Our program, in partnership with the X Prize Foundation, Google, and Ranged Media Partners, is called the Future Vision X Prize. And it's one of the world's largest competition to address humanity's greatest need, hope. Create a trailer or short film, 3 minutes or less. Show us and the world your vision of the future. That vision could become the next blueprint for all of humanity. Find out more and register at futurevisionxprize.com.
Okay, so how many of you get tickled by that? Because we're here in the Design Science Studio. I'm going to tell you quickly, some of you may not know this, many of you might. I've already heard my stories because I've been in the Design Science Studio since it started. And I arrived in the Design Science Studio because of a vision I had in 1979, working with somebody who had worked with Bucky. And I was working on a project to help illustrate the electromagnetic spectrum. And that led to a kinpiphany. I say a kinpiphany because it wasn't just my idea, it was built off of many ideas. And that came to a question. If humanity is evolving, what are we evolving towards? And I was like, maybe, and I was looking at all the information on my drawing board because we didn't have computers back then. And all these words started moving around, electrons and protons, and I was thinking about consciousness. And the next thing I knew, there was an leprechaun looking back at me from my drawing board, and a leprechaun, ELEPROCON. And I was thinking about, well, what does that mean? Our consciousness is evolving. We're understanding this technology, and we're understanding what makes us human. We're not just meat. We're metaphysical ideas. And not only that, but we were going to be arriving in a place of a lot of decisions that would need to be made. We would be electing between the pro and the con. And I thought that was my story to tell back then. And what I realized was, because I kept getting frustrated that the story wasn't making itself apparent, was it wasn't my story to tell. And so I went through a lot of different iterations of working in the computer industry to help launch the personal computer industry, and many things that I did between then and about 2017, 2018. And I decided to go looking for my leprechaun kin. I figured now's the time. We've got the technology, we've got the tools. And that's how I bumped into the Design Science Studio and how I found my leprechaun kin. And the first year, we had Tony Patrick talking about backcasting. And I was like, I've done that. Actually, I did a session with Charles Eisenstein that I didn't know it was called backcasting, but that's what we did. I actually came back as a tree, and I was really confused by that from the future. But with Tony and learning about backcasting and the fact that he was working in Marvel Comics and he was talking about comics, and I just wrote like a big star blast and it said BAM in it, like a comic. And I looked at it and I thought, backcasting alliance mediums. And then I went, I play with the word evolution a lot. If I just throw an E in there, I've got the backcasting evolutionary alliance mediums. We are here to be the mediums, to tell the story of the future that we want to live into. And I've been listening to about 400 different stories from the Design Science Studio cohort members over the last 6 years now. And that's what we're here to do, is tell that story, tell those stories. And that's why I got here. And now it just feels like to have this film competition show up. I think I was one of the first people to see it. I was like, this is what we're here to do. This is why we're here in the Design Science Decade. So that by 2030, we have a film to tell us how we did it well, how we evolved in a way that works for all life. That's how I got here. Rex?
A lot of you maybe are becoming a little bit more familiar with some of my work. That my main project is a engineering, almost science fiction level idea of creating a global energy solution that would involve building a ring around the Earth, oops, like this. And so, you know, beaming the film project seems like a great possibility for not only, of course, my idea, but everybody here has an incredible project that's come from your heart that you are envisioning some beautiful future. And, you know, we could see this beaming the film project as a specific expression of beaming work that Mark has created all along. And I'm gonna, just in the effort of keeping us close to time, I'm just going to really quickly say that the film entry involves creating a 3-minute um, trailer, and the winner would be funded to create a feature-length sci-fi film. And it would also involve a 12-page treatment. There's a lot of ways that you can contribute, and if you feel called to join us in this, there's a couple of ways, a couple of on-ramps. I'm gonna pop up here. I'm gonna share my screen again real quick and show you this. Oh,
While Rex is doing that, I've also shared in the chat thread 2 links. One is the same link to where the QR codes, and the other is to the backstory about the film event.
Yeah, and additionally, we'll be having a choose your own adventure breakout session in a little while. So if you want to come and talk about how your project could fit in, or other places that you might want to contribute, if you feel aligned and drawn to this, come join us and or fill out the Google form. Thank you.
Yeah. You know, this is an open competition. Anybody can enter it. And but what we're really feeling into this, and I sensed it when Rex first showed up in this cohort, that when she started sharing her project, I could see everybody beaming, you know, and it's like there was this sense of, wow, that's quite incredible. Let's do that, because what it enables is for us to move away from fossil fuels, to actually come together as a united planet and find the ways through this mess that we've got ourselves backed into a corner on. I'm very excited about us being able to share this project. And but we do invite you to our session. This was a teaser. I hope we teased it enough that you come visit us in the next session that we have, to engage with us so that we can start tossing around ideas and figuring out how folks can step into the project in different ways. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, all right. Thank you so much. Question, what is the best way for someone to get involved?
There's a lot of ways that people can be involved. You can, you know, put your version, your project that you're working on, maybe as part of the vision of the sci-fi trailer that we create. Maybe you want to be a performer. Maybe you are interested in world building and storytelling, you know, sound, all sorts of visual arts. There's a lot of like, you know, coordinating the build, a lot of back end things that could happen. Whatever feels in alignment with your heart is the way. And yeah, you can pop in and fill out that information in the Google form, or join us in the breakout room shortly.
Cool. Yeah. Really exciting. It feels so good to have like a uniting thing that we're all kind of working on. And I feel like there's like multiple levels of projecting that we're all doing, where we each have kind of our individual thing, and then we have our pod, and then we have all of DSS, and that even goes further to like all of Earth and like all of the universe and all of everything. And we're just like little nodes, and it's really amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if I can say, John, it is that. It is about bringing our projects together. As soon as I saw this, I had this vision again of the future of all of your stories being told. Now, how do we do that in a 3-minute trailer? The trick is to put it into the 12-page treatment. And I believe we have some wonderful mentors like Catherine Connors and Tony Patrick that may help us do that. How cool.
Yeah. All right. Well, looking forward to what comes of that. And next up, we have Gigi to introduce Niha. I hope I pronounced that right.
Thank you so much, John, and thank you, Rex and Mark. A new mythos, a new story where I think many of us are feeling the need for this. So, with this, I am very honored to be introducing Neha Misra, who actually I knew of before Design Science Studio because we share a common path when it comes to our work on as solar entrepreneurs. So Neha Misra, hopefully you'll be coming up to join us on screen in a moment. She's an award-winning climate justice advocate, contemporary eco-folk artist, and poet. Her Mother Earth wisdom-centered interdisciplinary studio builds bridges between private, collective, and planetary healing and justice. Neha, we're looking forward to having you on, and over to you, Roxy.
So Neha sent this poem and wasn't able to be here today because she's out being magnificent and fabulous in the world doing all the work that you mentioned. But the poem that she sent was, there were a few moments as we were preparing for Dissolve and Bloom that felt edgy. Just the world is hard. Stuff was going on in my personal life, the just timing, all of it, right? We're in a really tough moment. And there are always these little glimmers where you remember why you're doing what you're doing. And so this was definitely one of those moments. So here we are together and we're going to experience, it's a short poem. So I invite you to just bring your whole selves as you experience this together.
Maybe we humans can learn. Can we please learn from fire ants who, when facing death by flooding, join their hands to form boats? From the fire ant body collective, spongy, alive, boats afloat for weeks and weeks and weeks to save each other from drowning. What if in our burning, submerging, stormy, aching world, what if we learn from fire ants how we can become the very fabric of our own survival, not each drowning on their own, but as fire ants surviving the rising tides together by joining our many fragile, strong hands, because only that and only that is our ultimate test if we shall die alone or survive together. Can we please survive together this fire and water? Can we please survive together?
I am crying. Maybe we can just breathe together. So powerful. I invite you to just exhale the air out of your lungs. Inhale together. Open mouth, exhale. 2 more, inhale. Exhale. And on your next inhale, remember that you are inhaling the exhale of the natural world. And as you exhale, remember that your exhale is the inhale of the natural world. I knew that placing this poem right after Rex and Mark framed up this opportunity to weave a collective story together would make a lot of sense. And experiencing it definitely confirmed that suspicion in me. That's what this is about. Here, we're exploring the edges of this right now. Dissolve and Bloom invites us into that. And that separation. That the fire ants teach us that separation does not serve surviving together, but rather holding hands and creating this lifeboat is really the path to be that tide that raises all ships. Y'all, this is so powerful. Wow. Okay, now we're gonna do one more choose your own adventure. And that means that we're also going to reset the live stream and start our last segment, which is exciting. And I am in that window going to share the links for you to decide where you want to go and what path you want to take. And I'm just going to bring up to support us in that process the agenda so that we can look at it. And then you'll either stay here in the vision train or go over into the beaming room for a series of wonderful conversations, practices, presentations that we will review now. We're like, I think about 5 minutes behind schedule. We'll try to make up time, but proud of us for staying on the tracks. It's quite a thing and sometimes can be hard to do in this crew because we get all excited and passionate and forget time. So I'm just going to put the agenda up on the screen real quick so we can see the two things that are going to be happening concurrently now and then the things that will be happening just after. So, perfect. So we'll be invited to go with Rex and Mark to deep dive about co-creating this film project together, which you just learned lots about. Also, Daniel Lindenberger is going to facilitate a deep session in here. That will be a live interactive fishbowl where a few of the change makers from Design Science Studio will model the incredible embodied potential that Daniel's metachrysalis project, which is his project in Design Science Studio, one of the facets of it is this mycelial mapping to share work and build connections and demonstrate emergent collaboration. So really building on like, what is it that we're doing together? It's really powerful. So that's what will be happening in the main room here in the Vision Train. And then after Mark in the Beaming Regenera space during the Choose Your Own Adventure. So if you look at the agenda, you see these 3 red dots. These are the 3 things happening in the Beaming Regenera room. So there's just 2 rooms this time. One is we're going to hear from Melissa. There's kind of 3 different stories that she'll be sharing, some updates of some incredible work that she's doing, and also a personal story about resilience and survival. And on the back end of that, Chelvanaya is going to hold space for creative resilience and grief and longing and anger and loss and pleasure. And that will be happening all at the same time as Daniel is going to be holding the space in the Vision Train. And then we will all come back together after that for our last plenary, which we call a planetary salon, which will end in a surprise last hour of music and integration, which will be super lovely. So with that, I am going to stop the stream and restart it and give everyone an opportunity to choose your own adventure. And then in just a few moments, we'll properly introduce Daniel into this room. And in that moment, we will begin. So for anyone out there on the stream, thank you so much for being a part of it. And we invite you to join in here live if you can to the Vision Train so that we can continue this journey together. And in the meantime, may you be well, and we'll take a short break. Thank you, thank you, thank you.